Good morning. Call the meeting to order. Short agenda. Tom's going to talk a lot. Good to see everybody here. No open forum, no emails to read, so we're going to go straight to a Blue Crane agreement.
All right, I'm going to stand for this. We have a large number of our senior employees here because this announcement is going to impact multiple departments, and we want to make sure everybody is informed of what's going on. Okay, so we've always talked about the three-legged stool, and now we're talking about the potential shift of the POA managing the ACC. So the board is considering voting on this agreement at next week's meeting on the 25th. If approved by the board, this transition would take place on August 1st, that we would take over control of the ACC. In fact, Tammy, our HR director, Tammy and myself are actually meeting with ACC staff today at 2 o'clock. So. Here are our goals, the POA's goals, and you're going to notice I'm going to start referring to POA goals and POA board of directors and ACC board of directors, so there's going to be a difference and so forth, so we're going to have to change some of our wording on things. But here's our goals: provide the ACC staff with the resources, support, training, and leadership to ensure outstanding service is provided for our members. And this is the main reason that we're doing this. This is for our membership. This is going to be a good benefit for our membership. Provide our members with consistent and unbiased administration of the ACC rules and regulations. That's always important. You've got to be consistent throughout. Hopefully we can improve efficiency and streamline the approval process for permits. We know it can take longer than it should be to get those things done, so we want to do everything possible. I'm sure our accounting department, our IT department is going to help assist in improving that efficiency. Increase community participation and transparency in the ACC process. So the ACC board meetings and the ACC Rules and Regulations Committee meetings will be open to the membership. We'll have those meetings here. We'll video them. We have the camera systems already set up. You'll be able to access those meetings online. They'll be archived. So a very different approach than how it's been handled in the past. Ensure there is no negative financial implications for the POA. That was a very important issue that we wanted to make sure there was no negative impact for the POA. And have a clear separation of responsibilities between the POA and the ACC. What you'll find is we're using the model of the water department. The water department is part of the POA, but we have separate books. You can look at a separate P&L. You can look at a separate balance sheet. We keep it separate. We're going to do the same thing for the ACC. So. You thought you got away from graphs when you got out of high school. So here's some graphs. So this is not how it is currently set up, but how it will be set up. So let's start on the familiar side. We have the POA Board of Directors right here. 9 members, no member of the ACC board may serve on the POA board, and vice versa. We have to have a separation of powers. We have a POA Rules and Regulations Committee, and that is made up of 4 individuals, and they're all members of the board. And those rules and regulations, those recommended changes are filtered to the POA board, and then they're voted upon, okay? Right now, we have an elections committee, which is only focused on the POA side. We're gonna repurpose this committee, and I actually have it on my calendar to call the committee chair after this meeting and let them know. But it's now going to be the POA election and ACC nomination committee. Okay, so they will continue on the POA side doing the same thing they always do. Make sure that the member is in good standing, they meet all the criteria on the POA side. It's got to go through a community vote, and then you get onto the POA board. Here, it's going to be the ACC Nominations Committee. They will nominate to the ACC board, and the board will vote a majority vote. And I have a slide coming up in just a little bit. So that's going to be a 7-member board, the ACC board, and we'll have a ACC Rules and Regulations Committee, which will feed recommendations. So somewhat of a similar setup on both sides, but clearly a separation between the two. All right, so here's the ACC board. It'll be made up of 7 members, 5 members from the community, and 2 employees to start with. So it'll be Doug and myself to start with. Our goal over time will be to have the board 100% volunteer and not employee-based. Now, over time, is that 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? I don't know. But it's going to take a little bit of time to get everything headed in the right direction with regards to, you know, interacting with the POA and so forth. No members of the POA board may serve on that committee or on the ACC board. Clear separation. We don't want a situation where the chair of the ACC board and the chair of the POA board are one and the same person. That's not that's an over consolidation of power. Open meetings, live streamed. ACC board candidates must be approved by a majority vote of the ACC board. Okay. All right, the Rules and Regulations Committee. 3 members from the size of 5, 3 from the community, 2 ACC board members. Notice that we kept it at 2. That way they do not have a majority. They do not comprise a majority of that committee. Open meetings, steps in changing the rules and regulations, recommendations from the Rules and Regulations Committee. They're formulated. It goes to the ACC board, and they vote to approve. It does have to go through final approval by Blue Crane or the developer, whichever one you want to say. They only have 5 days to review this, 5 business days. That's not a lot. And their lack of comment means approval. So if we send it over, if the ACC board, hey, we're recommending we make these changes, and the meter starts clicking, and once it hits 6 days, it's approved. Whether they like it or not, they have 5 days to comment. That's a pretty tight window, 5 business days. Elections and Nominations Committee. So we have the POA elections and ACC nominations. Previously was the Elections Committee. It'll be made up of 5. Right now it has 3, and on this agenda we have 1 more volunteer that's going to be added. We're going to have to find an additional one. No members of either board and no employees may serve on this committee. Okay, that way there's no undue influence one way or the other. And the Elections Committee has always operated kind of its own. It doesn't take directions. Board members do not attend those meetings. They are independent and separate, and they will continue to do so. This committee will interview candidates for the ACC Board of Directors and make recommendations on the candidates they feel are the most capable. No change in duties for the POA elections. So they'll interview prospective board members and then make those recommendations upwards. I'm working with Doug on drafting the policies and so forth. And what we're doing is kind of copying how the board policy is when we have to replace an empty or a vacant board seat, where everybody must be interviewed, but it's the committee's determination of how long those interviews will last and so forth. But if a person puts in an application and they're a member of in good standing, they get interviewed. But it is ultimately the committee's choice on who they feel will best serve the community. Accounting for the ACC. Following the tried and true model of the water department, accounting for the ACC would be kept separate from the POA. This includes a separate P&L, separate balance sheet. Similar to how we handled the water department, the ACC staff will be POA employees. The salary, the payroll for these employees will be charged to the ACC department. So not unlike how we do it with the water department. When we can put our finger on that expense, they're buying a new work desk. Well, that expense goes directly to the water department, or in this case, the ACC. If there is an allocation, so the water department does not have an accounting department, they don't have HR, they don't have IT, they don't have legal, they don't have any of those things, then we allocate those expenses over. We'll do the same thing for the ACC. Very similar. We're using the tried and true method. We're experienced at it. It works. We've been doing it for long time, decades. ACC reserves. Okay, so we talked about one of our goals is no negative implications for the POA. So we will begin with an ACC reserve of at least $600,000. That is coming with the ACC. Okay, so it's not POA money. These funds will be used for operating expenses and to ensure the POA takes on no financial burden. They have a budget. We've seen their P&Ls. We have a pretty good idea, but chances are things are going to change because the POA is now going to be involved. So we want to make sure we have an ample reserve for the good times and for the bad times. Simply because there's a lot of building going on right now doesn't mean there will be a lot of building going on forever. So we want to make sure we have that rainy day fund, because if you go back several years ago, the ACC was not bringing in as much in revenue as they were spending in expenses. So this makes it make sure that we do not go upside down. Interesting, ACC may use excess funds from the reserves for capital improvement projects which benefit the membership. This is a long-range thing. As things settle down, is it possible that some excess funds could be used for POA projects, like amenity projects? Yes, but we view it as a long-term thing. ACC office location. The ACC office will remain at the current location until the current lease expires, mid-2027. Then we're going to look for a place to put them at a POA location. We haven't determined that. Nobody freak out. But the location and timing have yet to be determined. Okay. Growing through change together. Like any worthwhile transition, this may have a few bumps. We're going to hit some speed bumps. It's not going to be clean. They've operated the way they have for a while. Now they're going to go through a big change. We just ask for everybody's patience as we work through this process. Okay, frequently asked questions. The developer, actually, Blue Crane, put these together. These are going to be available on the Blue Crane website, and they've also posted a press release about what's going on. That's their press release on their website. I looked at it. I didn't have any issue with it. So, has this agreement been decided? No. It won't be voted upon until the regular meeting on June 25th. What is being proposed? Well, the POA is going to take over control of the ACC and administer that. If the POA does the reviews, who makes the rules? Well, the protective covenants and design standards remain the responsibility of the developer. The POA would administer and enforce these standards and may recommend changes. So the responsibility remains with the developer. So if you recall, when changes are made to the rules and regulations, they do have to get final approval from the developer or Blue Crane, and that's that 5-day period I referenced earlier. The POA will be in charge of administering it. How can I get involved? I actually got a slide coming up. We're gonna want to make sure as many people are interested in serving as possible. Will my assessments or dues go up? Absolutely no. We've made sure that we've set it up in such a way where POA funds will not be used towards this. That's why we are intent on getting a large reserve, because we want to make sure that 5 years from now, when the housing market slows down, Dave, you didn't hear that. I didn't say anything about that. The housing market slows down 5 years from now, and their balance and their P&L goes upside down. We want to make sure we have enough reserves so it does not negatively impact the POA. So No negative impact. Will this make getting approvals easier for people building or improving their homes? That's our goal. It's going to take a little while. It's going to take some improvements, take some efforts. And as I said earlier, there's going to be some speed bumps heading our way, but this is ultimately our goal. If we could hit the fast forward button and be there a year from now, I think we're going to be in a lot better state than we are right now. I have an application in process. What happens? They're going to continue to do their stuff. Remember, the takeover is until August 1st, and that's the next item. This is a fluid situation. There will probably be some changes to what has been presented today. You know, please don't come to me 4 months from now and say, you presented this in the presentation and you changed it. Well, we've only been working on this a few weeks. This has been a very short, rapid process, so it wouldn't shock me if some changes were made. And join us in shaping what's next. Okay, so if you would like to, we have 5 positions available on the ACC board. We have 3 positions available on the ACC Rules and Regulations Committee, and we have 1 position on the POA Election and ACC Nomination Committee. So if you would like to be involved in this process, it's going to be some work. It's going to be some hard work. If you'd like to get involved, please get a hold of Jessica McCreary, who is our corporate secretary, at corporatesecretary@bvvpoa.com, or you can contact her at 855-5012. Get in those applications. We're going to try and move very quickly. One thing with regards to the the ACC Rules and Regulations Committee, the developer was working on some improvements to those rules and regulations. They were talking about implementing those policies before the POA took over. We asked them to pump the brakes because a change just prior to takeover probably doesn't look good. Let's do it afterwards. Let's involve the Rules and Regulations Committee. Let's do it in an open setting. Let's have cameras and we're videoing it, transparency. We think that's a much better way to make changes to the rules and regulations. Now, the work that they've done, Doug and I have looked at it. I'm going to speak for myself. I think they did a really good job, but I think it's best that we slow it down, pump the brakes, and we'll make those changes after we take over. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you apply and contact. Yes?
So will they discontinue the current committee?
Yes. Yeah, that's gonna be a developer action. Anything else? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions, and feel free to email those to me. This is a big change for our community as I started this. We used to be a 3-legged stool, but you've seen stools with 2 legs, maybe? So something different. We'll make it happen, and we are confident in our staff. I've included members of our member resources staff because in this meeting, and our marketing, because we know that they're going to be the ones that are going to field probably the most questions about this, and this video will be available online, and I welcome you to share that link with individuals. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Good stuff. I know the board's excited about this as well. We've talked about it, like Tom said, for a couple of weeks, and I failed to mention Director Bob and Director Deborah are not here this morning, so I wanted to make sure we know that. Next, did the board have anything on that one? Okay. Next is Rules and Regulations Committee. Did you have? Sorry, I didn't see you. Did you want? Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to make a comment. You know, part of my support of taking this on would be that it gives the community, the membership, influence and a say-so in how the ACC is ran, and which for the longest time that hasn't been the case, and I think that's a positive for the community, and that's why I'm in favor of this.
Cool, thanks, Jeff. Anything else? Okay. Rules and Reg Committee Policy 5.03.
This is the second of 2 required readings. These are the changes that we're looking to make, which is going to make it put some constraints on individuals using our guests using our pickleball courts. This is one of several steps that we're planning on making to limit that usage and focus on member usage of our pickleball courts. So if we cover this too quickly, please go back to a previous meeting wherein we discussed it in a lot more detail.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any comments on that? I know we've discussed it a few times. Okay. Election committee nominations, you referenced this a little bit ago.
Yes, Katie Hinkle has would like to serve on the committee. I think a lot of people know Katie through a lot of different charitable organizations. We actually previously had 5 members on the elections committee, then we went down to 4, and now we're down to 3. And so we actually, Katie expressed her interest a couple months ago, but it was right in the middle of the POA board election, and we did not feel it would be appropriate to make any nominations to that committee in the middle of an election. It might look hinky. So we decided to wait until after, which is now.
Cool. I think most of us know Katie. The last on the list is, on the agenda, is golf committee nominations. We have 2.
So we have 2 nominations from the golf committee. We had 3. One of the individual potential volunteers withdrew their name. Also, full disclosure, Drew Hendren is Jeff's son, and so all discussions and votes, he will have to recuse himself. Other than that, they appear to be good candidates according to the golf committee.
Good. Yeah, they went through an interview process. So, and that brings us to the end of the agenda. On to the announcements. Does anybody have anything else to discuss? Anybody in the bullpen? Nope. All right.
I did want to jump in, and we are gonna we're asking the POA Rules and Regulations Committee to meet next week on Wednesday. This is not at our regularly scheduled time, but with the changes as a result of the ACC, we need to move forward on making some changes to the POA rules and regulations. It will, instead of going through these changes that we're recommending, instead of going through 6 meetings, we'll only go through 5 meetings. The policies do allow the board to forego the second meeting to make changes to the Rules and Regulations Committee in emergency situations. I think this qualifies, but that means it would those changes would only go through 3 meetings. We felt it would be better to go through 5, not ideal, which would be 6 meetings, but 5 is better than 3 and offers more transparency for our membership. So, because normally it would go through the Rules and Regulations Committee, then go to the work session, which would be right now, and then the regular meeting. And so that's not possible. So we're adding an unscheduled Rules and Regulations Committee meeting for next Wednesday at 3 p.m. That will be open to the membership and live streamed. So that's why we're doing that, just to, we felt that that was the best way. Like I said, 5 is better than 3 meetings. So.
And Dave's excited. All right, thanks, Tom. All right, on to the announcements. Board orientation is tomorrow, Friday at 9 a.m. here in the boardroom, and that's a closed meeting. All other meetings, unless otherwise stated, are here at the boardroom or live stream. As Tom mentioned, a special Rule and Reg Committee meeting June 24th at 3. Board of Directors regular session is June 25th at 6. The next Lakes JAC meeting is July 8th at 2. The next Golf JAC meeting is July 8th at 4. The Rules and Reg Committee meeting, regular one, is July 9th at 1:30. Board of Directors General Session, which is a closed meeting, is July 9th at 2:30. The board tour is postponed, and it will be now be held on July 10th at 10 a.m. Obviously, that's a closed meeting. Meet here at the Country Club. Recreation JAC meeting is July 13th at 4. The Board of Directors work session in July is July 16th at 9. And our July regular session is the 23rd of July at 6 p.m.
Jason, just a
Yes, sir.
question, a clarification. On my sheet here, it says Rules and Regs Committee meeting on July 9th at 2:30, and also the Board of Directors is at 2:30.
It should be 1:30. That, yeah,
So for the Rules and Regs, it's 1:30.
1:30, correct.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure I make all these meetings.
Anything else before we adjourn? Yes, Jackie.
I didn't even say, you just saw me.
I saw you hit
I
your
just
button.
have a follow-up pickleball question on the boards we talked about that are part of our phase of helping with keeping it to members and guests are up at Branchwood. They are not up at Metfield, but they're not in use. Is there a timetable for those to start being used?
Yeah, just, we're gonna work on them because we wanna make a couple tweaks to how they look and also, so just give us a couple weeks.
And I just would recommend we communicate broadly
Correct.
whenever.
We
they-
wanted to get them all up
Yeah.
before we do
I've
that.
heard they look really well. They look good, the one that's up, but just being asked.
We're getting there.
Anything else? All right, we stand adjourned.